All right, what's up, guys? We are back for the round 2 back 9 of the Pasture Open 2020. We are at Westside Park. Again, this is back 9. I'd like to thank the sponsors, the title sponsor being Prodigy Disc.
Yeah, we also had Full Flight posted up at Westside all weekend long. They helped us out a great deal, so huge thanks to them. And of course, the Whitfield County Parks and Rec Department, the tourism department here in Dalton. We had so much support for this event, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and big shout out to Ace Run Pro for being able to come out here and film the last 2 rounds of this tournament. We're really excited to showcase these 2 courses. They have some great Prodigy baskets on each one. These courses are brand new. You're going to be seeing the back 9 of the Westside Disc Golf Course. And then the final round will be at the brand new Pasture Golf Course. So we have Brandon Brown, Nathan Lavender, Matt DeLung, Chris Dickerson, and Luke Samson.
Got a really tight battle there at the top. You saw that BB and Chris were tied with Nate 1 stroke back.
Yeah, and here's Chris going with a nice slight Anheuser out of his hand. That looks to be his 400 PA3. I would say that Chris is really accurate with a slight Anheuser release on shots.
Yeah, he really throws those 400 PA3s well. I know he's thrown below 400 PA3s in the past, so it's just a disc that he really leans on. Nate parks the hole there as well, so 2 really good shots to get the back 9 started.
Yeah, this is a nice little touch shot. What you really need is just a baby Anheuser out of your hand as we watch Brandon right here go with a little bit, maybe not enough. Although he kind of filters through, he's going to have a fairly easy putt, maybe just a little obstruction with those trees on the left-hand side.
Yeah, the benefit of having a short hole is even if you don't throw a good shot, you'll probably have a putt at it, as Luke throws a little bit low, but those pine needles will let it slide a little bit.
Yeah, and here's Matt looking to get on track right here. A little tight. Not a bad shot, though. He skipped up there to be behind the basket about 25 feet.
Yeah, not a bad shot there from Matt as Luke lines up a putt, and he's got a tree right on the right side, so we'll probably have to ante just a little bit, and good bid, but not high enough.
So you saw in the background the orange basket. You will see just about 2 baskets on every hole out here at Westside, a blue for the short and an orange for the long.
Oh, Chris just high and not a friendly roll there. He's going to have a tough comeback, or he's probably still going to be out.
I think he's outside the circle here. And he misses off the top high left of the change right there. That's a very surprising bogey for Chris.
Yeah, it looks like he was a little obstructed on the first one and got a terrible roll. Matt misses a little bit low. Let's see if BB can cash in. That's 2 strokes on Chris, which is big right now.
Yeah, great putt right there by Brandon as he had that branch that was kind of forcing him to keep it low. As Luke has a nice cleanup putt right there. Kind of shout out to Luke as he making the lead card at the Gentlemen's Club Classic in Vegas. Nice playing out there, Luke.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to see him up there. Great player, and we were fortunate to have him here in Dalton. Chris cleaning up his bogey there. Nate with the tap-in birdie. And Brandon retakes the lead here. So 1 stroke over Nate, and Chris now 2 strokes back.
All right, we are headed into the signature hole, hole number 11, par 4, 700 feet. So you can see the short basket right there covered up with a trash bag. The play on this hole is to get out and fade a little left so you can actually see the basket and have an angle towards on your approach. So we're going to see Brandon, I'm sure, rip some type of driver or fairway out of his hand. Try to keep it a little flat, but you can't go far enough left.
Yeah, you definitely just want to stay off that right side. And we're gonna get a run back here on Brandon's drive. He skips off of Nate's disc. That's impressive.
That's impressive, and I didn't even catch that. And when it first went, I had no idea. And here goes Luke. He's actually coming close to that right side. That's a near perfect drive from Luke.
Oh yeah, he really challenged that right side, which is death. I mean, again, you just don't want to be over there. and it paid off for him. He's going to have a pretty easy approach.
Yeah, and here's Matt looking to go with his D2 max. It looks like he just got over on that just a little too much. That is somewhere you do not want to go. I like to call that the friend zone because you find out quickly who your friends are helping look for your disc.
Yeah. Here's Chris ripping one out, and he definitely keeps it safe. Might be pushing that left side, though.
Yeah, the hole is out and to the right, and the idea of just a slow fade to the left will actually give you a good look at the basket, but I think that Chris did go pretty far left on that. He'll have a look at the basket, although it's going to be quite far.
Yeah, Matt just pitching up and over there. He's back out in the fairway, and we'll have a nice look at par here. And here's Chris, who I imagine is not out very often. He throws a beautiful approach shot here.
That was a great shot by Chris. I think he went F1 is my guess on that shot right there.
Just a really nice line, keeping it flat and skipping right up to the basket. Here's BB going hyzer. Looks to be fading in nicely.
Yeah, that's a great approach right there by Brandon. He's going to have a fairly easy 3 as we're watching Nate, obviously being near Brandon after hitting off his disc. Didn't look like he really committed to that shot at all as it fades off way too early.
Yeah, it looks like he was just too worried about hitting that gap and didn't quite turn his disc over enough. It could be tricky to try and trust the hyzer because of that right side, but as you can see, it's not a bad play at all.
Yeah, and Matt really got it out there to the right. You kind of want to push that tree on the right-hand side and bring it in. Kind of like Luke is right there. He's not quite pushing it. It just is a really soft fade towards the basket. But it's easy to leave it short because you don't want to get into the trees right or left. And if you do leave it short, it's typically over on that left-hand side, kind of like Nate's doing right now.
Yeah, and he just throws an overhand and gives himself a putt. He'll likely be able to clean up his par here. We'll see what he's got. A little bit of a tester. But he bangs it. He's played well all weekend long.
Yeah, that was a great putt by Nate Lavender right there as we're watching Brandon looking to pop in his birdie as he does. Great play on that hole by Brandon.
Yep, Chris looking up to clean up his birdie as well.
It's a nice upshot by Chris. It's not easy whenever you're that far away and trying to just hit that small gap at the late finish of the flight. And Luke with the best drive is tapping in that birdie, and we're headed on to what I would think is the most difficult hole out here at Westside Park, hole number 12. As we're looking at the leaderboard right now, Brandon Brown has a 2-stroke lead over Nate Lavender and Chris Dickerson. And Matt DeLung and Luke Samson are following up. Yeah, and after that commercial, we do want to give a big shout out to Prodigy Disc for being the title sponsor of this tournament, helping with the video coverage, helping with the course going in the ground. So huge shout out to them and the growth of disc golf in the Dalton area. So hole 12 is uphill, par 5, says 635 feet. But it goes uphill, I would say, drastically towards the basket once you get towards the last half of the hole here. You do want, ideally you want to be where Brandon's at as he got all the way up. Almost to the gap, and oh, did Chris just go through the trees right there?
That's a really nice skip there for Chris, and that's what you want to do. You just want to skip up that hill. It kind of winds over to the left slowly and then goes back towards the right, so you just want to set yourself up on this really tight fairway.
And it's easy to do what Nate did right there and just leave it a little bit too wide because the trees do kind of come in a little bit on that left-hand side. So it kind of mentally makes you want to keep it wide, but it gets grabbed really easily as we just watch Matt and Nate do those two same shots back to back.
Yeah, Matt's going to have to go overhand again here. Catches a branch, it sounded like, and now he's pinched off on the other side.
Here's Luke. He actually doesn't have a bad look. If he can get around those trees and around that cedar tree, he'll actually be able to get an opportunity for a 4.
When he hits that cedar tree we were just talking about, and you can see why it's so important to get up on the hill, because it opens up quite a bit once you are actually up there. I'm not sure if Nate was actually going for the skip shot, because it's not a bad play to put yourself in good position, but looks like he went a little early.
Yeah, and here's Matt again. I mentioned in the front 9 that he is known to throw a really hard thumber. And this is almost the only type of shot that you can throw right here. It's just something straight up over the top.
Yep, and you can see here is the short position tied up, and we're going to the orange basket, which is up that other hill.
Yeah, so you can almost see it in the background. It's straight behind that blue basket, about 100 feet straight uphill. And Brandon looked to be getting, I think, up the hill, but it didn't look like it quite flexed as enough. As Nate throws what looks to be a really good shot, he should have a decent up and down.
Yeah, it looks like Chris is going sidearm here. Not sure if that's more of a safe play or an aggressive play. He also could have probably Anheusered around the tree, but give himself a really nice look there.
Yeah, and this hole does play as a par 5. Of course, it's much easier whenever you get up and around the corner and you can rip something up the hill like Chris did right there to be able to have a nice look at eagle. Luke had just an okay shot right there. I think it's always good to stay out of the trees, a little bit higher, of course, and you would have a little bit of a better look.
And Matt was out of the woods, but still was committed to that thumber, so I'm not sure if he'll putt that way, but he gave himself a good look to clean up.
And Brandon also with a fortunate lie right here, as he is at least able to get to the basket. It can get really thick over there on that left and right hand side if you get off the fairway here.
Yeah, really nice shot there from BB, and he'll be looking at an easy birdie there.
Not a bad run from Luke. As you're going straight uphill, it makes it a little easier to give it a run. Same thing with Nate. We'll see if he's got a little... He pops it up there. He should be taking a fairly easy par on this hole, as Chris has got a look and leaves it a little short.
That would have been a really nice get there for Chris. That stepper, he could have gotten a stroke there on BB as Matt splashes out there right side.
Not a bad save from Nate. And a good birdie for Brandon and Chris. As we head into hole number 13, which is also a little bit of a difficult par 4. The distance isn't very long, but you have got to be in a certain spot off the tee box.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brandon's still 2 up on Chris here as we move into hole 13. Another tight fairway, as you can see. This one you just want to throw straight and fade down that hill.
Yeah, and again, you can kind of see where they're putting right there. There's not too much of an angle to get to the basket. And I see a lot of players end up going too far, thinking that they have to throw it very hard. So, see Chris right here, again, going with that PA3 on the inside route. And if you're stuck right there, I'm going to say it's very difficult to get up and down for a birdie.
Yeah, I think this tee shot is actually pretty tough because it's easy to do what both Chris and BB did. You feel like you want to avoid that tight side, and so you push too long, or you don't want to go too long, so you end up tight because you feel like you have to hyzer out early. And these guys are just showing you how tough this fairway really is off the tee.
Yeah, the shot is going to be something gentle that loses speed at about that last tree or that third tree you can see in the footage right there. Matt's got the shot down right there. You've got to get around the corner to be able to get to the basket.
Yeah, and even that's just a little bit tight. Chris going over the top here, trying to just cut that corner completely.
That was a great shot. That was probably the best shot of the tournament so far. I've seen people get stuck in those trees over there to the left, and it is not fun.
Yeah, Nate's not messing around with that. He will take the scenic route. And it looks like he ended up in that right side rough, unfortunately. Luke's going to go a little flex sidearm as well, but he hits a tree.
Yeah, and actually he's not too bad right there. And honestly, when you're in that position on this hole, it almost makes sense just to go to the top of the hill because you're not gaining a lot of distance. That's between Matt with a rare forehand. I didn't see where it ended up. But you really just want to have a look because it's so easy to go long. And once you do go long, you just don't have a look at the basket.
Oh, and Beebe with a great shot that gets an unlucky break at the end. Really, just like Chris, a really great get-out-of-trouble shot that didn't work out as well, unfortunately, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, smooth shot by Luke right there. He was fortunate to be on the edge as we watch Nate just toss out, and that just kind of shows the effect of how thick the rough is over on that right-hand side.
Yeah, he's just going to jump putt. I hope to clean up here and move on to the next hole. He's in the wood chips there.
Matt has been online with just about every putt this round. I feel like he has either hit the front of the cage or the pole. As we're watching Brandon try to bid for a birdie right there. But Matt's been really close to draining some putts.
He's got a really nice spin putt that has a lot of range. Luke looks like didn't quite follow through as well on that one. And
nice cleanup there by Nate. Nice cleanup by Brandon. Not a gimme putt, but you should make those every single time.
Yeah, here's Chris. He's gonna get a stroke back on Brandon. Moves to 9 under on the round. So just really shooting a great score so far.
Yeah, we're headed into one of the easier holes on the course. Definitely, I would say, a must-get in the short position. As we're seeing the total scores right there, Brandon up 1 over Chris. And this is hole number 14. It's just a little short flex sidearm. As Chris shows us right there how to do it. There is one tree that you have to miss, and he actually kind of tipped off of it at the last second.
Yeah, like you said, this is a must-get because of how short it is. Beebe giving it an ace run.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people go with this play right here. It is short, so you don't need a lot of power behind it. As Matt goes to the long pin, obviously a lot of power on that.
Here's Luke with a sidearm, and he almost gave it a run as well, landing right in the mulch under the basket.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. You just want to go with a nice, easy forehand flex, just a little baby touch. Nate got through the trees right there. I would say that's the one mistake. Of course you can go left to right, but a lot of people don't think about how much anhyzer they need to put on the shot.
Another good bid for Matt there from distance. He just hasn't really put himself close enough to the basket. As Luke cleans up his birdie, we'll probably see the rest of the card do the same here.
Yeah, I do think Matt is playing these courses blind, so I think that does make a big difference whenever you're trying to gauge the distance on these holes. As we've seen him come really close to scoring well. Of course, just a little bit off on the putting green.
Cleanup putts all around. Everyone ready to rock and roll here. Moving on to hole number 15, excuse me.
All right, here we are on hole 15, par 3, 305 feet. Typical play here is a nice flex sidearm. Looks like Chris is going with a understable putter. Not a bad play either. It's a little bit blind from the tee pad. You can't really see that basket right there.
Yep, he'll give himself a circle edge look. BB going with the sidearm. Both are obviously viable plays, as you can see. We are going to the blue position, as you can see here. The orange basket was a little bit close to the blue on this one. Luke just leaves it a little low and a little bit turned over, so he didn't get a skip once it hits the ground.
Yeah, we're watching Nate actually look to also go with that forehand play. I would say a common mistake here is to leave it a little early. Ooh, man, that was a really good run.
Wow, really nice shot there from Nate. Matt looking like he's going to go thumber again. He goes over that bush.
Maybe not quite over the bush.
Yeah.
Almost over the bush. I think that was the right play, though, from Nat. I know that he could reach that with a thumber. Because he's making another run. And that's just almost on line. Very close. As Luke is outside the circle looking to drain one.
Really nice putt there from Luke, and it sticks in the chains for him.
That's the best, whenever it's
Great
just
shot.
sitting in the chains for you. You watch Nate just hit off the top from about circle's edge as he had a nice ace run.
Chris converts there, and Nate's going to want that one back. I mean, BB and Chris keep pushing, keep grabbing those birdies, and Nate's been up there all tournament long, and hopefully he can keep up.
Yeah, nice catch up there by Matt. Nate with the unfortunate par. He had a heck of an ace run right there as we're headed into hole number 16 as we're looking at Brandon with the one-stroke lead over Chris. Nathan kind of coming up a little bit. I think Brandon and Chris have gotten a couple birdies within the last few holes and have kind of distanced themselves a little bit.
Yeah, they're giving themselves a little bit of breathing room. Chris going high, hyzer, going to the orange position here. It is the only basket. As we mentioned in Whitfield County earlier, they built that huge 3-tiered platform that the basket sits on, and it looks really nice.
Yeah, huge shout out to them because this is one of the best basket placements I think anywhere around our town. They basically built a castle out here to be able to make it elevated, bring a little bit more difficulty. The basket used to be a tiny bit shorter, just in the wide open. It was always a nice hole, and now it has brought a new level of difficulty with it being elevated, but very fair elevation, I would say.
Yeah, 3 great shots off the bat, sticking on that bottom tier. Nate just going a little bit early. Matt putting a nice line on it. It's just got to stay in the air, and not quite, but he'll have a look at the basket.
Yeah, and here's Nate. It looks like he just had his a little bit too early, but he does have a look.
Oh!
Ooh, man, what a good. I don't know if he was trying to run that or lay it up because, of course, there is that drop-off behind the basket.
Oh, and Matt hits low and gets... Oh, my gosh, what a roll that is.
Where are you going? What kind of... I haven't seen that happen on that hole.
Yeah, that is extremely unfortunate. He just decides to stick the par. Really nice putt there. I know he would have liked to have the birdie one in, but... Oh. Luke a little frustrated there. He's missed a couple putts within the last couple of holes, except for the long one on the last one. And Brandon and Chris just can't stop birdieing.
Yeah, they are really enjoying the tap-in birdies along the last couple holes. Nice birdies for them as we're moving into hole 17, which is a par 4 as we're seeing the scores right there. Brandon with a one-stroke lead, 2 holes left. Here is Chris. I've heard that he lines up this. You can see the first tree right there is a Mando, and it's a Mando to the left. And after he goes through that, he comes right back, and he actually puts himself in good position.
Yeah, a lot of people were wondering about that play. There used to be a lot of tall grass over there, which would just totally eat up your disc and made that play a lot less viable. But you know, now while the grass is down, they're taking that big flex line, and it's working out.
Yeah, and Whitfield County will come out here and they will actually hay that area. They are looking to plan a soccer field to go out over there. So the future of 17 and 18 is kind of up in the air a little bit. But for now, we're going to enjoy these two awesome last few holes. We're watching Nate rip a forehand. And that is the ideal shot right there. Typically, you see people go down the middle either with a backhand, straight shot with little fade at the end, or a big forehand to try to give themselves a look at the basket.
Yeah, Matt, Luke, and Nate taking the more traditional route on the hole, right down the middle. Looks like Matt found himself in a little bit of trouble there in the rough.
And that's a great out shot, though. He's going to give himself a look for birdie. I'm sure it's a little bit of a longer putt, but it's still a good look.
Yeah, and as these guys start to approach closer to the basket, you'll see that it is another orange placement. Again, the only placement on this hole. Chris with a easy sidearm approach here, wide open. I'll be looking at another birdie.
Yeah, and Brandon also, his drive went way up there after cutting the corner. Nice approach right there by Nate. Should be able to clean up that birdie pretty easy.
Yep, and here it is BB out driving everyone and leaving himself just a nice little floaty putter shot.
Luke looking to clean up a par right here. He just really needs to get up and down. And he does with a jump putt layup. One of the best shots in the game. Just to be able to toss it up there by the basket.
Yeah, and here's Matt from a long way. He's got that powerful spin putt. Looks like he just went a little high.
Yeah, and cleans it up pretty easy. It's tough. Whenever you get off the fairway on this and you don't make that corner, it is a very hard up and down to be able to get birdie. Or really to save your par. Once you get in the trees, it's almost just a pitch out.
Yeah, you definitely just want to make that corner to give yourself a chance at the birdie, which Chris and PB did. And they will be taking the only birdies.
There's Brandon. Tapping in his birdie right there. Nice drive and upshot by Brandon as we head into hole number 18. As Brandon is up by 1 over Chris. Nate, Matt, and Luke are bringing it up behind him. All right, final hole, number 18. We're watching these guys kind of give each other a little fist bump and say, nice round, nice playing with you, as we're headed into a hole number 18. 720 feet, par 5. The typical shot you're going to see people throw off of this is a backhand roller. We watched Chris actually go with an air shot. It's a little surprising to me. I think with the low ceiling and going uphill, it does set up really well for a roller, as Chris just gets way up the fairway with that backhand.
Yeah, just a really nice angle out of his hand. This one's another one that will turn to the right once you have your placement shot.
And Brandon looks to be a little short of where Chris is, but he'll still be able to have a shot towards the basket. It does take a diagonal right and is behind the blue basket by about 150 feet or so.
Nate just looks like he pulled his a little bit, didn't quite get it out wide enough to get under that, around that cedar tree, and Luke taking a better line here, just avoiding everything, and he'll be out in the open.
Yeah, hole 18 was a nice addition to the course to make it a little bit longer than what it previously was. Of course, huge shout out to Whitfield Rec Department to be able to put that in and install that hole. I think it's a huge addition to the course. As Matt fillets the fairway right there, that's a great shot by Matt, especially on coming down hole 17. He needs to secure a birdie on this one.
Yeah, Nate going high. couldn't quite see it land. Oh, there it is, rolling out a little bit. Got himself out of trouble. He having a tough look to get to the basket.
Here's Matt's second shot. He wanted much more turn on that than the hyzer release that he just had. I think that actually saved him from going out of bounds.
Yeah, Luke lining it up here. And there you can see the gap, and Luke got more turn than he wanted.
Yeah, it looked like a late release and an understable disc, which is not a good mixture for the two. So he went early right. We're watching Brandon right here. He has a nice gap towards the basket. It's probably about 380 feet out is my guess, and that's a great shot right there as it slides up towards the pin.
Beautiful force flex play there. Just pure in that gap.
Same with Chris, as he's going to have a tap-in eagle on this par 5 as we're watching Nate try to get up and down to save his birdie. He's going to have a little bit of a downhill putt to save that.
Yeah, good shot there from Nate, absolutely. Really nice recovery after just being short and in the trees off the tee. And again, not quite getting up there, so he'll have another long putt.
Yeah, and Luke with that early turn and late release, he's kind of stuck in a difficult position right there. Almost finds his way out, but gets caught up by a couple trees. He's going to have a longer look, but he might be able to save it. And here's Matt. Hopefully he can drain this one. He's looking at 40 feet to the basket. That's been the story of his round, it seems like, so far.
Yeah, just all over it. Luckily, I had a little bit of a small branch there to keep him up and not roll away too far.
That's one of my least favorite putts. I don't know how Luke feels about it, but the jump putt and hyzer is always a little difficult to be able to get enough air on it and actually get it to the pin.
Great cleanup there from Nate. Really nice save for him.
Yeah, he didn't have a great tee shot, but that right there was a great save. Brandon hitting the top link and popping in the basket. That's a really good eagle right there.
Here's Matt finishing up the round there with a par. Obviously not ideal, but it was great to see him on the lead card, and I'm sure he had a great time. Chris with the tap-in eagle there. Him and Brandon, I mean, just unbelievable battle all day long. Really scoring incredibly on this course. I mean, 15 down and 13 down, two huge numbers.
Yeah, and again, I want to give a huge shout out to Ace Run Pro for coming out here and filming the final 2 rounds of the Pasture Open. Huge shout out to Prodigy Disc for making this video happen, making the Westside Disc Golf Course happen, making the Pasture course happen. Huge shout out to Prodigy, of course, located in Dalton, Georgia. Thanks to these guys for putting on a great show, and we will see you on round 3.